Is there, I mean, and obviously there is, but what are the risks with going into joints?
Yeah, it's a very good question. The biggest risk is obviously infection. It is a real risk. Thankfully, and I mean that as the veterinary profession, we kind of take sterility to another level. We are pretty serious about sterilizing. They are surgical preps. Every joint injection is a surgical prep. We use sterile gloves, obviously. Drawing up of the drugs is a sterile preparation. And so from start to finish, there can be no break in the sterile chain to ensure, because the last thing you want to do in trying to help a horse is to end up with a secondary joint injection. Flares are a different thing. One can get those. They're clearly not as serious. They tend to happen within the first 24 hours of injection, but they will settle down. It's the joint infections that are the biggest danger by a country mile of injecting. Overuse of steroids is a very bad thing as well. This is
I was
where
just going to
the
ask
new
you
products
that
coming in have helped us a lot.
So I think that was originally one of the massive concerns with joint injections, is all we had available were cortisones and things like that. And once you start doing that, it's quite a slippery slope to, then you're no longer nutrifying the joint. You're kind of just hoping to almost anesthetize it. Whereas now we've got things like stem cell technologies and things coming in. So it's really changed the face of joint injections, right?
100%. It means we can use minuscule amounts of cortisone if we feel the need, because we often use them in conjunction with, or in a treatment program with, alternating with things like RAP, PRP, the newer products, alpha-2 macroglobulin. All these products they're all as what we term biologicals. So they are derived from the body. They're very safe. The work that's coming out, our experience with something like RAP, which is probably the oldest, the longest serving drug, a biological we've used, has been fantastic. And now we're getting even more and more refined products.
Will you give us a very elevator speech version of IRAP?
Okay, IRAP is it's what I'd call the body's own anti-inflammatory. Whenever one gets inflammation in the body, there needs to be an off switch for that inflammation. Otherwise, the inflammation just carries. Inflammation, to a degree, is very important, and it's necessary to enable repair of tissue. But that inflammation needs to be switched off at times. Otherwise, it would just carry on with the negative parts of inflammation, if I can put it that way. So one of the proteins that switches off inflammation is what we use in IRAP. It's the body's own off switch for inflammation. It's a protein released by the brain that says, all right, enough inflammation, now we can just settle down and move on. And that's what that is being harnessed in technology like IRAP. Very similarly, and not the same, but similarly, we see that in PRP, which involves other proteins in that from the inflammatory cascade, anti-inflammatory cascade, I should say. And likewise, alpha-2 macroglobulin is similarly works in a similar fashion.